Part 2, the slap, the thug, and the submissive without a master. And at the end, we're gonna show you every single celebrity who's turned on Jada and how these things are the reasons why, the deep-rooted reasons why. I promise you, nobody's broke it down like this before. Let's get started.
In a recent interview with Jada Pinkett Smith on an NBC News primetime special with Hoda Kotb, she revealed that the two of them have since been divorced in 2016.
That in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce.
By the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying.
Let's talk about the emotional vampire, Karen Pinkett Smith. According to her, for the past 7 or 8 years, she's hated the man. While his star was rising, he's not had better roles in any other time. And it wasn't until she saw that he ruined everything that she started to like him again.
It's like, do I really want to be divorced? Do I really want to be separated? And then the Oscars came. And believe it or not, it's crazy how intense events can bring people together. Because once the Oscars happened, Will and I got closer. And so
really, that actually helped. How so?
Well,
good and decent people of YouTube understand that when I say emotional vampire, the definition has just been revealed in this absolute monster's statements. Now, this disgusting beast of the night, this sociopathic narcissist Karen, all of a sudden finds him attractive again. Now that he's banned from the Oscar for the next 10 years and no more roles can go to him because he's lost everything in defense of her, while she refuses to defend his actions publicly.
Jada didn't actually want Will to defend her. She's not one of these women that needs protecting. He didn't need to do what he did. She didn't need protecting. She's not a wallflower, the source said. She's a strong woman, an opinionated woman, and she can fight her own battles.
After this interview, and kind of made things a bit weird, because during the 94th Academy Awards on March 27, 2022, Will Smith smacked Chris Rock for making a joke about his wife Pinkett Smith for being bald.
On Oscar night 2022, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after Chris made a crack about Jada's hair.
But Jada revealed that what Will did was not necessary by saying, "I thought this is a skit." I was like, there's no way that Will hit him.
Bothered you? You did an eye roll.
right. Yeah, and I did that eye roll not so much for me, and I think this is really important, but the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
She literally said, and I quote, "I mean, that's what comedians do. I would just have to say that I am not really here to make any judgment on how people decide to express themselves and express their art." Okay, separated or not, the person who is in the family unit with you went up there to quote unquote defend your honor. And you are basically saying, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. You know, when she was in the thick of it in her space with the whole August situation, which is the, singer who was friends with her son, a quote unquote family friend that she ended up being in a relationship with. When that situation happened with August and they came to the red table and they had a whole conversation about it, Will sat there in support of her, okay? Defending her. Also being a crutch for her. Making it seem like it's us together. As much as everybody else can bash this woman, don't bash her too bad because she's my wife. And yes, I might have been upset about it, but I still love her and I support her. Even though you guys have, humiliated him and he still stood there. Now, when stuff hits the fan, I never told him to come to the red table talk and talk about that. He didn't have to do that if he didn't want to. I never told him to go defend my honor. I never told him I needed any defending. I'm confused.
And now that he's completely and utterly humiliated, she feels what she calls love for him again. She didn't know where he's coming from. I don't know where any of this come from, but I need healing. Never once did she ever say he needs healing. She said we were gone, separated, and I need healing. I don't know where this came from because she has no idea what it feels like to love or be loved. When he said, I did this because of love, she was shocked.
She was a part of his rise.
Yeah, so and then for him to say, my wife, I think that surprised her. And then it was a ripple effect.
But none of that matters when it triggers violence. I mean, at the end of the day, like Will hit Chris. That's
and I think she sort of felt like she was the heavy. If you watch Will's acceptance speech, he says, as he's crying, he says the things we do for love, as if that's what he's doing.
That's why protecting her. It kind of puts it on her.
Because in her black, disgusting heart, she's never seen it. She wanted a thug.
When he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. And I knew at that time that, he needed somebody to do time with him.
Prior to going into Rikers, Tupac already had a girlfriend named Keisha. He proposed to Keisha, her words, in a September 2011 interview. He proposed to Keisha before he even went into prison. They were already engaged.
Jada Pinkett Smith just got exposed with receipts that she lied in a recent interview when she claimed that Tupac proposed to her while he was in jail.
So you're telling me that in the 3 to 4 week window that he was at Rikers engaged to another woman who had moved closer to the prison and was there almost every day, Tupac proposed to Jada.
So with everything that's going on in the world right now, Jada Pinkett Smith thinks the most important thing we need to hear about is her toxic relationship with Will Smith and her non-existent relationship with the late Tupac Shakur.
She wanted Tupac because that would train her. And when a submissive cannot be dominated, they turn into the worst kind of dominant. One without responsibility. Those in that scene know exactly what I mean. Kodak Black, on the other hand, knows exactly what she is. He figured it out immediately.
Jada Pinkett, baby, you was out of pocket. You out of pocket for that shit. Come with me. That's what you need to do. Because that shit you doing ain't real, bro. That shit you doing ain't real, bro. See, bro, you just on some bull. You just on some bullshit. You don't deserve Will Smith. You deserve Yak.
These are the facts. It's not a joke. Poor Will Smith has lost a lot. He has healing that he needs to do, and I do not forgive him for slapping a weaker man just because he could. He wouldn't have done it to 50 Cent, guaranteed. But he at least has the emotional maturity to apologize. And when he's lost everything, is when she feels good enough to heal the relationship again. The truth is, Karen Pinkett Smith is a lost submissive. From the very first day, she wanted him to drag her by the hair down the aisle. Exhibit A.
And I was so upset that I had to have a wedding. I was so pissed. I went crying down the freaking aisle.
Getting married.
Married. Cried the whole way. I really didn't want to get married, but...
We only got married because Gamby was crying.
I was under so much pressure, being a young actress, being young, and I was just like pregnant. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. But I just knew, I was like, I never wanted to be married.
In fact, she seems to enjoy telling people how unhappy she is in her marriage on national TV and throwing little jabs at Will by comparing him to Pat. Just to give you an idea of how she talks about Will compared to how she talks about Tupac.
The type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime, so...
Women, and my answer is always, I've always told Will, you can do whatever you want, as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and be okay.
Oh, look at Pac. So you and Tupac were childhood friends.
Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please.
She needed him to discipline her. But instead of being honest with herself, she found a man who's broken, preyed on it, and used it for her own sadistic entertainment.
Jada and Will have been living separately since 2016. So if you think Jada was the only one having fun, you are gravely mistaken. But there is one thing that makes Will look better in this situation, and that's the fact that he's never publicly trashed Jada. In fact, every time he's talked about her, he's had nothing but amazing things to say. Jada, on the other hand, has said a lot, and I mean a lot of questionable things about Will, to the point where it's now really starting to look like she's trying to push to get Will to divorce her. In a recent interview with Parade Friday, Jada revealed that she and Will don't have a prenup, and that's because before they got married, they promised each other they would figure out all issues that come their way. Fans are now speculating that Jada does in fact want to divorce Will, but she doesn't want to be the one to initiate it because then it would be harder for her to get Will's money. Red Table Talk is gone, and he is 4 times her net worth. He won't divorce her because it's the only way to keep her from getting his money. So now she's going to lengths to embarrass him and force him into the divorce. And another.
This is why submissives are submissives, because they know the dangers that they represent. It's why they crave dominance and violence and use sadistic mind games when they're not dominated. She's gross, and she'll lash out, and she'll always continue to. And the relationship that she craves is one that's unhealthy. And the relationship that poor Will Smith will fall for is a continued cycle that he saw in his mother from his father. It's rare. Usually, men in his case become the monster.
Each of my siblings remembers that night in the bedroom. With me standing there in the doorway, I watched my father punch my mother so hard that she spit up blood. That moment, probably more than any other moment in my life, has defined who I am today. Each of my siblings responded differently in ways that would go on to define who we were for much of our lives. If Harry was fight, Ellen was flight, and I became a pleaser. I wanted to please and placate him because as long as Daddy-O was laughing and smiling, I believed we would be safe.
He's become the perpetual victim, and she loves every minute of it. Karen, you're gross. And the whole purpose of this video was to show you that the celebrities that you're about to see, those who know Jada closely and this couple closely, aren't hating on her for nothing. Listen to what they have to say, and you tell me if you don't now see that the reasons they're hating on her are deeply rooted in every one of these reasons I just showed you, and probably in part 1 as well. Check out what these celebrities who know them have to say.
He does not deserve what Jada Pinkett Smith has done to him. Where is your respect for a man you still acknowledge is your husband?
So why do she get to continue to do stuff like this? I'm glad they tear her up in the comments every time it happens now.
I think she's having a relationship with her bank account because every time she needs to increase the ratings of the Red Table, every time she needs to sell books, she drops these bombshells. I find it unseemly.
Leave me out of it. Please, enough is enough.
Rappaport shared the viral video of Jada laughing after Will slapped Chris and wrote, "People saying Will Smith was protecting Jada. Why wasn't Jada protecting Will from literally ruining his entire career? My wife would have been fighting me before I sat down for making an asshole of myself and our family."
Can we stop pretending everybody knew Jada had alopecia? I mean, as much as we heard about Jada and Will's personal lives, you can't expect us to retain everything. It's like Kanye saying, "Don't act like y'all ain't know I had psoriasis." Just selfishly, as a comedian, I'm tired of people putting their own insecurities on our joke intentions.
You think we living this good because those set it off residuals? You think they making Nurse Hawthorne too?
Jason's lyric ain't
right, they ain't doing that again. And Tupac is dead. He is. So
it was an entanglement.
That was a hurtful word to August. I'm sure he didn't appreciate it because he was in love and he probably thought she was too.
Maybe she's looking at Will as so successful and so big, and maybe I think that's where she wants to be. And I mean, she's emasculated him. And maybe right then and there, he tried to prove to her that I am a man and I will stick up for you and
I really felt to be a partner to Will Smith, whose career basically took a crumble that night. We were all rooting for Will Smith that night, Oscar night. We wanted him to win. Will Smith that night, as far as I was concerned, was going to be crowned this generation's Sidney Poitier, which is a huge honor. Will Smith was defending her honor. That was why the reason he walked on stage and slapped, because he felt like his wife had been offended. I have love for the Smiths. I know their children. I've watched them grow up. I just wish that we could have had a little bit more accountability, and for it to not seem so self-righteous on Jada's part.
That's it, people. Listen, join the Patreon. Join my Patreon. I'm putting part 1, part 2, and the history of everything since the slap that I've had together in one big video, so you can watch it all together and don't have to split it up. It's gonna be eye-opening. It's gonna be funny. This last one wasn't so funny, but it wasn't meant to be. I wanted it to be serious. But join the Patreon page. Check that out. It's gonna be crazy. You don't have to go and search through all of my files. It's all together in one video. It's hilarious and informative. Also, look at the screen. Buy something, man. Get you a t-shirt. Be an anti-Karen soldier and join the page. Whatever you can do to support this place, we love it. And if you can't do anything monetarily, just hit that like button. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down button. Subscribe. Peace.